All right, as I promised earlier, we are going to get to this now. The IRS just raised the limits on how much you can put into your retirement accounts next year, but what does that really mean for you and for your money? Here to talk about that with some simple and practical advice is money and business expert Derek Kinney. Hey, Derek, thanks for being with us.
Oh, my pleasure, Jason. Great to be with you.
So we've seen that those limits going up for IRA and 401k contributions now. You say that one of the best retirement tips is for people to set it and forget it. What do you want to get across when you say that?
Well, it's human nature, Jason. If you have to make a choice between seeing what money is left over, there's often more month left over than there is money. And typically, they want to go see the movie, see the show. Nobody really wants to invest. And so I say set and forget. Think of your investments like a bill. You make your house payment, your rent payment, your car payment, you buy your food, and invest first of the month. That way, the important things are taken care of. So whatever's left over, you can spend it knowing you're making progress toward your future retirement.
Okay, so why are these retirement contribution limits increasing in the first place for people who don't know? I mean, we see these inch up every year. What's the reasoning behind that?
Well, the big thing is there's so much pressure right now on Social Security. People talk about, is it going to run out? Do I need to take it early to make sure that I lock it in? The bottom line is when Social Security was created many years ago, people weren't living as long, they weren't making as much money. What the government is wanting to give people the opportunity to do is take the pressure off of Social Security, let them save more, let them sort of self-fund their own retirement. That's really the impetus, not just keeping up with inflation, but if they can save more, then they'll have more when they wanted to retire.
Okay, so for someone who feels like they're behind on their retirement savings, Derek, which is probably a lot of people out there who are watching right now, how do these higher limits actually help them to feel like they're at least catching up a little bit more?
Well, this is unique to this round of increases. So what's called the Secure 2.0 Act. Typically, we've known this catch-up provision for people 50 and older. Now they've said if you're between the ages of 60 and 63, you can add even more to your IRAs and your 401ks. And so it's sort of this catch-up strategy, Jason, where the government says, look, we know you're probably making more money, you've got maybe money left over. It's a way to catch back up and save more. What I would encourage people to do is increase the amounts now. That way you start next year, automatic, no having to think about it. It's set and forget.
All right, so what is the biggest mistake? We always talk about this, Derek, and this is, I think, one of the things that we learn from the most. What's the biggest mistake that people make when they are behind on their retirement savings?
You know, when people are behind or they feel like they've been left behind, they tend to take more risk than they would normally take. And it often costs them. If you're desperate in Vegas and you put everything on red 11 and give it a spin, you're probably going to lose everything. So don't think about your retirement like that. Think about it in terms of what's the next single best decision I can make. And number one would be, let me add more to my 401k and my IRA. But second of all, don't invest too aggressively. If you can't sleep at night and it causes you to have worries and anxiety, then ratchet it back a little bit. And maybe you phase in your retirement. Maybe you don't retire at 65. Maybe you say, I'm going to work part-time from 65 to 67 and gradually ease into it. The bottom line is typically you make mistakes when you're most panicked and you're behind.
Yep, it makes you make bad decisions that end up costing you even bigger. Derek, thanks so much for walking us through this today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Jason.